everybody, welcome to another support video. This one is on, it's like kind of a reminder, a review on how to solve proportions and how to convert fractions, decimals, and percents, and vice versa. So let's go over it. So if you're solving a proportion, basically you're asking yourself, what would be the mystery value that would make the left and right equal, right? So the easiest way to do this is to look for a relationship across the top or bottom. So is there something you can multiply 3 by to get 4? Not easily. If there was something you can multiply 3 by to get 4, then you just multiply the 8 by that very same thing. If there's not, then what I want you guys to do is the cross product method, which basically means you're going to do the bottom times the opposite top. Let me do that with a nicer highlight. The bottom times the opposite top equals the top times the opposite bottom. So this method is called the cross product, and it's always true in a proportional relationship that the bottom value times the opposite top value is always equal to the top value times the opposite bottom value. And in this case, what it comes out to is, let's use a variable for the question mark. Let's just use x. So I'm just going to say question mark is the same as a variable x. And let's do it. So 3 times x is equal to 8 times 4. And then you're just going to multiply 8 times 4 to get that product. 8 times 4 is 32. And then you're going to ask yourself, how do I get the x by itself? You have to undo the multiplication with division. Remember, whatever you do the left side, you have to do the right side. So you're going to divide both sides of the equation by 3. And the answer is going to be that x is equal to 32 thirds. Now, what is 32 thirds worth? That's worth 10. And that's 30 thirds, right? And there's 2 extra thirds left over. So 10 and 2 thirds. And that would be your final answer. That's the mystery value that solves that proportion. Okay? On the next one over here, you've got 2 thirds is equal to 10 over something, right? Now, the 2 can become a 10. If you multiply the 2 by 5, you get 10. So this is one where we can usually use the relationship there. 2 times 5 is 10. So that very same relationship has to exist on bottom. 3 times 5 would be the mystery value. So we know that the mystery value, in this case we'll call it x, is equal to 3 times 5. And so in this case, x is equal to 15. In other words, 2 over 3 is the same as 10 over 15. So if you see a relationship that's a multiplication relationship across the top or bottom, use it. If you don't see a relationship, do the cross product. In this one, I see a division relationship in the bottom. 20 and 4 are compatible. You can divide 20 by 5 to get 4. So 20 divided by 5 is 4. Make sure that if you're dividing from left to right, you keep doing that for the top as well. Divide from left to right. So 16 divided by 5. Now the answer would be 16 divided by 5, right? So x in this case would be equal to 16 divided by 5. Now 5 goes into 16 how many times? That's going to be 3, which is 15 with 1 left over. So you're looking at 3 1/5. And that is the correct answer. Now if you're someone who doesn't feel comfortable doing 16 divided by 5 in that method, you could have always done the cross product on this one as well. So as an alternate method for this one, you could set up the cross product. Think 20 times x is equal to 16 times 4. And then you do 16 times 4 is going to be 40 plus 24, which is going to be 64. So 20x is equal to 64. And then you'd have to divide both sides by 20 to get the value of x. And in that case, you can still see that that would be 20 goes into 64 3 times. So you still get that 3. And then it would be 4 left over, so 3 4/20, which is the same as 3 1/5. So we can see that whether you use this relationship method or we did an alternate version there where we did the cross product, you get the same answer. So both methods work really well, whatever you're most comfortable with. With this one over here, you look to see if there's a relationship. I see a relationship between 15 and 45. If you multiply 15 by 3, you get 45. So we could just multiply the top and bottom by 3. And as long as you're multiplying top and bottom by the same value or dividing top and bottom by the same value, you're going to create an equivalent ratio because you're basically multiplying or dividing by 1, and multiplying or dividing by 1 doesn't change anything. So that's why this thing works. And so 15 times 3 is 45. 5 times 3 would be 15. So the answer there would be the mystery value would be, in fact, 15. So it's easier when you can see a relationship like the ones in red. If you don't see a relationship, then use that yellow method there, the cross product. Okay? For conversions, all right, when you're converting fractions to decimals or percents and vice versa, I would say the easiest way to do it is if you start with a fraction, you want to make that fraction into a 10, 100, or 1,000 on the bottom. So once you've done that, you can then make it a decimal or percent. If you can make it into a hundredth, then it's a percent. If you can make it a tenth, then it's a decimal or a percent, either way. Okay, so let's kind of go through and see the process. I see that 20 can become 100, so I would multiply top and bottom by 5 to get an equivalent ratio out of 100. So we can see that 20 times 5 is 100, and 17 times 5 is 50 plus 35, or 85. So 17 out of 20 is the same as 85 out of 100. Now, percent, by definition, means for every 100. So if it's 85 out of every 100, then it means it is equal to 85%. That's what it is. Now, if you know it's 85 hundredths, like we have here, like I said, you can make that into a decimal as well. Just think about your place value. This is the tenths place, this is the hundredths place. So if it's 85 hundredths, it means 85 ending in the hundredths place. So 0.85. Another thing that you can easily do to go from a percent to a decimal is you can drop the percent sign and move the decimal place 2 to the left, because decimal has an L in it. Help me remember that. 2 to the left to get to decimal. And then if you want to go to percent, you would take the decimal and move it 2 to the right and add the percent sign. Right? Percent has an R in it, 2 to the right. Decimal has an L in it, 2 to the left. So depending on which way you're starting, that can also be a little trick to help you out. If we're doing 56% as our starting value, you can think of it as a ratio, 56 over 100, because remember, percent means for every 100. So that would just be 56 over every 100. That is the fraction, but it's not simplified. If you want to simplify it, you've got to divide top and bottom by common factors. In this case, you can divide top and bottom by 4, and you can get 4 goes into 56. Well, 4 times 10 is 40. 4 times 4 is 16, so it's going to be 14. It's going to be 14 on top, and then 100 divided by 4 is 25. So the final answer for your fraction should be 14/25. In terms of the decimal, it's even easier. 56%, just drop the percent sign when you're converting from a percent to a decimal. Move the decimal place 2 to the left, and so what you get is 0.56, right? This is 56 hundredths, so this is 56 ending in the hundredths place. If you're starting with a decimal, just go to the right twice to make it a percent. So move that decimal place 2 to the right and then add the percent sign. Because this is 42 in the hundredths place, it's 42 over 100 is 42 per every 100, so 42%. If you want to make it into a fraction, just think about your place value. This is the tenth, this is the hundredths. What place value does it end in? The hundredths. So that means it's 42 over 100. And then simplify it. What can you divide top and bottom by? I think I can divide top and bottom by 2. So I get 21 over 50. And that is your final answer. Okay, so this is how you can convert back and forth between fractions, decimals, and percents. Just remember, percents are out of 100, and then with decimals, remember your place value, tenths, hundredths, and so on and so forth. All right, hope that helps.